Joining me now is Hassan Ahmadian, an associate professor at the University of Tehran. Thank you for talking to us, Hassan. You were listening in to what Donald Trump was saying. What were your initial thoughts there?
Well, I think there's an agenda there. The United States, not achieving anything through war, took its goals to Pakistan and was faced with a defiant Iran that came out of the war with a stronger hand. And so they found out they cannot impose what they want on Iran, and ergo the siege on Iran. The siege so far hasn't been economically effective. They attacked one Iranian ship and the Iranians retaliated and they stopped.
What makes you think it's not effective? Yesterday, Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, says that what they call Operation Economic Fury is putting maximum pressure and that Iran is losing something like $500 million a day or something like that.
Well, I would take anything coming out of that administration with a big load of salt. The Iranian sources are saying there is not a single ship other than the one that Iran retaliated for its seizure. There hasn't been a single other ship that was stopped by the Americans. And there's a reason for that, because the Iranians made it clear, if you do this, we will retaliate. It's an act of war. We'll not just sit on our hands and wait for you to suffocate us. And so on paper, if it is implemented, it can reach to $400 million a day. It hasn't been implemented. That's why the Iranians are thinking this is not an economic siege. It's a cover for bringing in more forces and equipments for the next round of conflict against Iran. And the other part of the agenda he talked about is creating divergence or division within Iran on the level of leadership and on the public level.
Just going back to that point that you made there, you're saying that Iran believes that this is all stalling so that the Americans could regroup and sort of carry out their next phase of this war. But interestingly, that's what Donald Trump thinks as well. That's what he said. He thinks that within these 2 weeks, it's given Iran a chance to reload, he said, during the 2-week hiatus.
Well, that's... he's the one who extended the ceasefire. He could have restarted the conflict, but he's, accumulating power to yet again surprise Iran through military means. The Iranians are perceiving it as such because there is no economic logic to what is going on. The economic siege, supposedly economic siege. So there is another thing that is ongoing. Another thing that he talked about is the division within Iran. We don't have any variable validating that claim. To me, that's a very clear agenda to basically sow chaos and division within the country.
But I mean, it is unclear who is leading the country. There has been times when, for example, the Strait of Hormuz was opened and then suddenly it was closed. Two different entities. You have the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. You have the Supreme Leader himself. Who actually is in charge?
The Iranians are not they won't basically, be transparent in their decision-making process for a good reason. Their leadership is threatened with assassination. Many of them were assassinated, so security is high.
But then does that not make it much more difficult for negotiations moving forward, even for mediators like Pakistan as to know who to deal with? Because it seems that it then takes longer to be able to relay the messages when it comes to negotiators to wait for those decisions to come through.
If there wasn't a coherent decision-making process in Iran up and running, the team that went to Pakistan wouldn't have gone to Pakistan. And that same team would have gone again if there is no decision within Iran not to go. The incident you pointed at, the Iranians basically announced that the United States, that was banned from using the strait, can go through the strait. But then President Trump said the siege will stay.
Right.
Iranians the next day. So in between the two announcements, the Iranians announced, no, you can't use it again because you're putting a blockade there. So it's very coherent from the way I see it, because it didn't go beyond the announcement by the Supreme National Security Council, both the Mr. Araghchi's announcement and then the closure to U.S. shipments in the Strait.
All right, that's all we have time for. Thanks very much, Hassan Ahmadian, Associate Professor at the University of Tehran.